Hey everybody, Jeremy here from Numbot Studios. Welcome to another Drawin Stuff video, where I just kick back and do a little work and chat along the way. It's been a little bit of time since I'd done the last one, so I thought I'd take this Sunday morning and just do this little video with you and see what happens. So I'm still working on some GRIT Galaxies kind of test monsters. The one shown here I worked on a little bit earlier this last week, along with another one, and getting closer to kind of getting a good feel for what I'm doing with these illustrations. So I've got a couple more queued up, and I thought I would just do some line work today. Not so much some filling. I'll probably just do a main color fill, maybe a couple details, but it's mostly going to be just line work. So for those of you who are new to this format, I'm basically just working through some stuff. So if you're expecting some exciting video clips, you may be in the wrong place. This is just chill drawing time. So just to show you kind of what I went through to work on these other ones, this was just kind of what's on the image that I used on the banner for the video, but it started like this, and I even forget what I had worked on last time. I actually recorded one of these sessions last week, and it failed to record. So I guess I didn't record it, but I intended to, and then it didn't work out. So I went through a whole hour and 10 minutes and came up with nothing. So anyway, this is the basic line drawing with a little bit of color for the teeth and claws and eyes. But this is what I ended up with, the color in the final part of it. Also, I think it started out more of a greenish blue. And made some color corrections to make it like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. Could be a little lighter on the bottom feet, but you know, it's close. I worked on another one as well, which is this one, which I just kind of love. It's got that adorable quality, but that it's still kind of a little unnervingly dangerous looking. So I just love making these drawings. They're awesome. And I had a buddy of mine, Ryan, mentioned after the last video that I made of these, this series, that why couldn't I do a full sketch kind of thing, like starting from a piece of paper and showing you the process of what I do there. There's a couple reasons for that I haven't done that yet. One is that I don't have the proper gear to do a really good visual setup for that. I don't have a good camera. I have a decent cam, but it's not good enough for image quality for capturing a sketch. More for just, you know, like a face headshot kind of thing while I'm talking into the camera. And even that's kind of sketchy with the lighting. So I don't have the right lighting either. And I don't have something that will properly hold a camera up, like look down at the right angle. So until I get those things, that won't be happening for these videos. But I did want to show you kind of, or talk about my process a little bit with that stuff. So what I do is when I sketch a full page of stuff, and a lot of times it's just stream of consciousness. You know, I'm not setting out to do any particular thing. Sometimes it'll have a theme, you know, like obviously I'm drawing sci-fi creatures, or maybe I'm drawing one particular lineage for GRIT Fantasy or GRIT Galaxies. And so I'll do a full page of that or a half page of two different kinds. So it's going to kind of look like this after I'm done with the sketching. So what I do is I go in with a pencil. I use a 2H pencil and just quickly sketch out the whole page. Usually just picking general shapes and then just drawing whatever comes out. Because I know these are going to be just rough ideas that get digitized eventually. So I do the pencil sketch and then I go over it with like 3 layers of ink. So like a rough outline, detail work, and then like dark, big patches of black and like a darker outline to finish it up. And that gives me a good base to take a picture of it and digitize it and kind of do some process work to get it so where it's enough contrast. Because a lot of times these sketch pages are kind of dirty looking, you know. There's like kind of the background is gray, it's not a complete white, and I don't have, you know, lines are kind of less contrast to them. So I fix it up and then I trim out the little each image, and I use that to as the base to draw digitally over it. So this is just an example of what I'm doing with that. What a typical sketchbook page looks like. So, and I've got a couple things queued up. Let's see what I've got here. So I've got this guy. It's opacity I changed, but this is what I start with. I've already kind of made some adjustments in how it looks as far as the mesh warp and all that stuff. I've done that in other videos, but so this is ready to go. You'll notice the lines are pretty thick because I had to zoom in on it. So I probably won't be doing lines that thick with this one once I do the final line work over the top. So let's begin. I got my ink brush set up. Probably going to set it to 35 pixels. That's kind of the normal size for this sized image for the book. I think I'll just start on the main body of this thing. So just line work, which is pretty relaxing to me. And hopefully it'll be relaxing for you just to chill out and sort of watch what I'm doing here. I kind of discovered something when I've been working on these videos, you know. I feel like it, I feel less pressure as far as sort of what I'm going to say. Like, I've been doing a lot of the GRIT specific, GRIT Fantasy RPG specific videos, and that I've kind of write some notes and I work off of those. And with this, it's just completely free. I can just you know, not worry about it so much because I don't really have any particular topics I'm going to cover other than just working through these drawings. So, yeah, so I feel like this is a more natural setup for my voice because I have a naturally soft voice. My yelling is like normal volume for most people. And if I try to yell, I actually lose my voice. And it seemed like I almost lost my voice just thinking about it right there. Like, if I yell, just nothing comes out. It's really weird. It's like it pushes my vocal cords the wrong way or something, and it's just kind of bizarre, but luckily I don't have to yell much. And I'm doing kind of what I talked about in another video, I think the last one, that I'm sort of adjusting these drawings as I work on them, just as my eye kind of works over the top of my original sketch. I am like, those lines look a little weird, like I could change that for the better. And fortunately with these organic forms, it's pretty forgiving. So I'm just going to do my outline layer here at 35 pixels. And then I will go into some more detailed stuff with a smaller brush. And that'll be usually another layer. I sort of already have an idea for what this creature is going to be, so I think this one, if this particular drawing doesn't get in to the book, it will be something similar. I think I'm going to do the eye stalks in a little smaller size, but I'll get those later. Smaller size line, I mean. So I ran another GRIT Galaxies playtest this week, and it went really well. Just had 2 players. Ryan couldn't make it, and he was missed, but we forged ahead, and it turned out well. Had the 2 Joes playing. So if the Joes are listening in on this, thanks for the session, guys. There were many laughs because the characters were kind of nuts, which is fun. And we lost a character at the end. Not doing well. I'm killing off characters in this playtesting. But that's kind of par for the course, kind of plotting the new rules and stuff. I mean, there's not a lot of core rules that have changed at all, but I think it's just a different power level for things that I'm kind of playing with. And part of it could be just mana or dice rolls or, you know, situation or prep, you know, how I presented the monsters. They're all new monsters, so I have to make some adjustments and stuff as we work through them. I rolled on the story builder and the counter builder, which are all done. And from the story builder, I rolled exterminate for the plot. So characters had to go in and take some stuff out. But I also rolled custom monster. So I rolled on the monster builder for that and came up with kind of an interesting creature, but I think the powers need to be a little bit, one of the abilities needs to be, or features rather, needs to be adjusted, which is fine. Plus it's a custom monster, it's maybe not, going to make the book per se. But you never know. Some of the custom monster stuff I did with Grit Fantasy ended up kind of being used. Okay. Do these back guys here. I think I'm gonna drop the brush size down a little. Yeah, the nice thing about this format too is there can be a moment of silence. I don't have to be talking every single second, which is how I work when I draw and stuff. So I think I mentioned that before. Often I just work in complete silence because that is what I'm most comfortable with, really. So I'm thinking this creature is has some kind of psionic powers, mind powers. Maybe I could see it being like controlling minions of some kind, or taking over the thoughts of others and controlling them. Who knows? Got this big brain and this kind of transparent bubble. Gotta put some teeth in here. Gotta make them a little smaller, I think, than the original drawing. Kind of varying the pointiness of teeth. It kind of makes it interesting. So I have been continuing to write out and complete sections in the GRIT Galaxies book. So making headway with that. I've had a couple things to tweak with the character abilities or lineage abilities, and a couple unique items needed adjustment. There are some lineages that are just totally solid, from the start. And then there's a couple that are going to be, they're going to take some work, I think, to get them right. So it's just a process to work through. Just have to make sure everything's balanced. That's the key. There's a lot to think of, even though it's simple. A lot of things to consider with that stuff. I'm also having, because it's going to be compatible with Fantasy, GRIT Fantasy, I have to keep in mind those unique items and abilities for the lineages, and how they're going to mesh with the other stuff in Galaxies. So. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to, I'm really enjoying the Galaxies, but it's also going to be really cool to be able to mix the two eventually. Who knows what kind of combinations will be had there, as far as what people will come up with their sessions and kind of setting. I think there's some real possibilities for some cool stuff. This section is just not quite right. Right, time to do that little bubbly thing on top. That's going to have to be a little smaller size, I think. And I need a stabilizer set up. And this is not an easy line to do because it's going left to right and not from top down or bottom up. It's just difficult to do with as far as how the hand works to get things right. Sometimes it takes messing around with a stabilizer a little bit. That's about right. Now time to put this brain in here. Sci-fi creatures always have to have like some kind of exposed brain, right? I had drawn a robot with one like this, so it's kind of a fun thing. Typical sci-fi, right? At least cartoony sci-fi. It's kind of like the Mars Attacks villains. Martians, I should say. That looks like it's the outline there. I think it's detail work time. Alright, so that's another layer, and then I just drop down the size of the line. And usually the stabilizer goes down a little bit, just so I have more freedom to move with it. Oh, another thing. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last one. I can't remember what I talked about in the last Drawin Stuff video. But I have decided to go with a different printer in the future projects. Still going to do drive-through RPG, at least at the PDF level. But I'm going through a company called Lulu, and it's going to be a much quicker turnaround time for printing, because they're also print on demand, and they offer some interesting options that drive-through just doesn't offer. One thing that I do like about drive-through is I can make cards, and so I'll still continue to do that kind of stuff, like cards and token sets and PDFs and all that, but it's very likely excuse me, that I'm going to run with Lulu for the printing, because drive-throughs turnaround is like kind of long. I mean, it's very convenient for a lot of people. It's RPG related, of course. So, I mean, it's still good to be connected to it, but I'm thinking about, people who are interested in this stuff. Like, they don't want to wait a month for it to get printed, and then who knows how long for it to arrive. Like, I've ordered promo copies so I can get them out to people for either taking with me running local games, or for reviewers, because it just needs to get out. But it took them a month to print, and I am now 5 weeks into waiting for the shipping. So it's just ridiculous that it's 2 months, or actually over 2 months of waiting, and still no promo copies. So kind of dumb. I'm thinking that's maybe why Runehammer decided not to offer printed books through them either. Of course, he has, he had a different printer lined up. I think it was Modifius or something, and a whole different setup. So, and I see, moving to a different printer is being able to have an ISBN, and I mean, not that you can't do that with drive-through, but have an ISBN so that offer it internationally and on Amazon and that kind of stuff through my own, ultimately through my own website. So. Another nice thing about Lulu as a printer, I can get a ring binder, or not a ring binder, like a coil bound book. So wouldn't that be cool to be able to get Grit Fantasy or Grit Galaxies at that setup? It'd be really nice to be able to open up the book completely and not have to worry about it opening. Like, the hardcovers are great, but you have to hold them open to read them, right? So having a spiral bound would be really great for like a travel book, like if you're taking the game to conventions and stuff, and that would be something I keep in my Grit kit. I'm also thinking I've got another idea for like a character book, character sheet book. So it'd be just a book of character sheets, probably a cheat sheet for some basic rules, a breakdown of kind of what the character sheets consist of. Probably going to ask my Discord folks about what kind of details they'd like to see with that, but yeah, so I think that would be a really great thing to have, like a spiral bound book, notebook for, is just a book of blank character sheets that a player could have and just fill in and have all their characters in one spot. I mean, I don't know how big of a seller it's going to be, but I think it's a cool idea. I think I would be, if, you know, if I was playing a lot, I would really like that personally. Of course, I run it all the time, so, and it's mostly online. But some people like to, even with online games, have character sheets in person. And yeah, I was going to mention other things that I have planned, at least. I may have mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but I absolutely want to make a monster manual, and this will come after GRIT Galaxies is done. So optimistically, probably, I don't know if it's even possible next year, who knows. But it will be mostly just illustration work. That is the work that I have to do. And, of course, writing out the monsters. But it will be probably, my guess would be, I don't know, 110 to 120 pages. I intend to do 100 monsters, 5 types, or 5 primary types, a D20 list for each and then like a D100 roll for a completely random monster. And this will be completely compatible with both Galaxies and with GRIT Fantasy. So that's going to be fun. So GRIT Galaxies is kind of going to be my break-in to the coloration thing, right? And so I think it'll just be a natural move to do a monster manual and continue the illustrations. So it'll be at least 100 illustrations, probably a handful more for the cover, and then a couple pages about the description of stuff. I'm just gonna have a breakdown of what the monster stats are and all that stuff, even though this isn't going to be like standalone game kind of thing. It's going to be just the monster manual, so you'll have that information in the books, but it would be good to have that stuff written in the book as well. What a stat block is and that kind of stuff. I'm even considering maybe doing another monster builder, calling it like a mega monster builder. That's just maybe a combination of everything from the other two books. I don't know. Just playing with the idea now, but don't really need a monster builder, I don't think, because the other two cover a lot. Maybe I can do something like taking all the abilities, features that stand out and from the monster manual and just putting that into a builder, so I don't have to come up with 40 different or 100 different features and stuff. So just to have everything in one place. So excited about that. That should be a fun little illustration project. I do have other settings in mind that will simply use the GRIT core system, but that's a ways off. I don't see that happening anytime soon. There's a couple that I'm really excited about, but I just have to power through this other stuff first. As you can see, there are a lot of details. It takes time. It's just how it is. But it's worth the work because they turn out great. And because, or another thing is just the process that I'm going through here to test these out and get some of these illustrations sort of figured out, is figuring out that the shading, all the details on the shading, and that it doesn't have to be as insane as the fantasy version, and it could still look really good, which will save a lot of time. process. So I think I had mentioned before, I'd like to get these, it'd be really great to get them done in 2 hours each. That is kind of my goal. If I could do that, things will move quickly. You know, I could do realistically 1 a day. And, you know, if I really have a full day to work, then I could do quite a few. This guy's kind of fun. He's got an attitude. I can tell already. Just adding some little doopties here on the outer layer, the main layer. Just kind of going all over. I like little doopties. It adds a little bit more texture to everything. But they have to be well placed. It makes sense visually. They can fill in areas that may be a little bit lacking. Okay, I think that is getting close here. I don't think I need to have one at the bottom. It's kind of going to be in shadow anyway with the shadow that gets put in underneath all of these. I'm doing something a little different this time process-wise that's going to help a lot. I'm putting in the shadow in each one of these illustrations before it gets set up or finished. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when I did the fantasy book, I just did the illustration like you see here without a shadow underneath it, and then I put in the shadows afterward once I got everything set up in the book. So now that I know what I'm kind of in for, I'm going to get the shadows done ahead of time. That'll save some time. All right. I think it is close. Just kind of zoom in here. When you zoom in, you notice how kind of crappy your line work can be. Just try to smooth everything out a little bit, especially on the outside. Just so you have nice crisp lines. I mean, these are heavy line drawings, so you want the line work to be crisp in the book. And after doing a bunch, you realize just how important that is. Okay. I'm just gonna title these. And I'm going to add, see when you take that sketch layer off, you can definitely see the line work more. And what is lacking or what needs to be like fixed a little. Little microscopic details. Probably no one will even notice, but like I've said before, I do. The color has a lot to do with kind of blending this stuff together so it's a little more forgiving. And once I put this white layer behind this thing, you're going to see it even more. Okay, and I think I'm going to put in some pupils on this one. And oh, okay. What I do there is instead of drawing two, I just duplicate them. And that way I can adjust where they are separately. That makes a big difference. And sometimes it's nice to have them a little bit off because it makes them look funny. And then on top of that, I am going to put some highlights in. Probably the only thing that will be solid, like a 100% white. Unless there's some kind of metal feature. And then I'll just group these guys. Okay, so this is where I do the base color fill. And you notice it's a little, closer to the top than the bottom, and that's because I'm making space for the shadow. We'll go 6 pixels on that. Just pull in the selection by 6 pixels. Then I invert it and do a color fill. Actually 2. One is white. And another one is a base color. So I'm going to go with like a yellow-green, I think. Because I know I'm going to have a pink brain, I want to do the base as a green, because the pink and the pink has red. So red and green are complementary, so it's kind of what I'm going towards here. Maybe a little darker. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll go with that for now. I'm also going to do the eyes. So these are going to be really light yellow, usually when I do. I could make them a different color, but I'll just wait and see. I'll just keep these just like this off-white, and then I'll do another for the teeth. All right. Then I think I'm going to do, I'll do the brain. So I'm just kind of sectioning off these things. So I'm going to go with a pink for the brain. Maybe a pinkish purple. Bright. I think I need to go a little brighter because I'm going to put a transparent blue over the top. Now we could make this brain like a blue, which would be interesting. But I think I'm going to go with something more in the red spectrum. These are more cartoony, you know, it's okay to have bright colors. Actually, I like bright colors, they pop out. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to put the blue on the top, and you'll see how this changes. So there's going to need to be some adjustment with this color. And then I go in with eraser, just erase any overshoot. There we have it. Pink brain. All right, let's do this cover. I'm going to do like a light blue, probably. Not really cover, but what do you call it? Dome. Like a membrane. And I could use a color fill, but that's problematic. Usually doesn't go all the way to the edge and you end up having to trace it anyway, so might as well just paint it in. Okay, erase some stuff here. I can already tell I need to do a little bit of line work, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, the membrane is done, and so we're just going to drop the opacity, and I definitely need to, adjust the coloration for these two just to make it look right. But yeah, so that's how that's going to look. And I'm going to take the regular color, and what I've been doing is just using multiply to make a darker. You don't want to use too big a brush, because this is like basically mimics a Sharpie, sort of. So it's a little fuzzy on the edges. So with a bigger brush, you get more kind of fuzz, and I like the sharper line for this stuff. I mean, there's a place for doing like a more fuzzy shadow, but with these particular illustrations, I'm not going to do that. So I want these other tentacles to kind of recede a little bit, so I'm going to put them more in shadow than the others. And this is just a rough thing, so and I'll probably add another color or two in the body of this, like in this area. Let's give these things some dimension. Picture this guy having some kind of sinister plan that's always foiled. They've got, I can picture it like pushing a bunch of buttons with these tentacles, on their console, like setting up the doomsday device or whatever it is, I don't know. Or controlling their robot army. That's the kind of fun I want to do with this GRIT Galaxies stuff. It's a little less serious. There's still some, danger, and there's still some stuff that gets blown up, of course, but just a little lighter, and that's fine with me. and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. It's a cool little thing. I may do like a little shadow here. I don't know. That may look weird. I said I was just going to do some line work, and this is what I'm doing. I'm just over an hour here. I'll be wrapping this up soon, but I just wanted to get some main stuff done here. And I'll go back in and fix it all. And if I don't like that completely, I can, adjust the color or, adjust the opacity. I think it does need something there, though. Maybe not that exact thing. I'm just going to label this. And maybe I'll just do a quick highlight just for fun. And this usually is what is it? I think I was doing screen. And this is how I'm going to get my consistency. If I use these special settings for the brushes and just use the color that's the base color. Because as I mentioned before, consistency is important throughout the book, that these all kind of have consistent shading throughout. And I don't want to do like a blanket, just like white, because that's not realistic. It has to be the color, it has to be part of the color of the creature. Almost done, guys. Almost done. Yeah, I think this one's a keeper as far as, the design. This might be re-illustrated. But I do like this creature here. I'm going to go in and do a highlight on the brain as well. And probably put a shade in there too, a shadow. But putting this highlight in will make a big difference. Kind of bring that out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with this this blue. I might even erase it. Around the brain. Note to self and note to you guys who are illustrating stuff. When you're erasing stuff and it's working out, lift your eraser on a regular basis, because if you mess up one part and you've gone a long way without lifting, if you kind of redo the eraser, you go way back and you have to redo a lot of stuff. So okay, that's looking a little better. So can't forget to save this. Yeah, so that's what we got today, and that's just an hour and 10 minutes or so, hour and 11 minutes. So yeah, thanks for joining me as I sort of work through this illustration. I had a good time, and hope you did too. And look for the next one, and look for my other grit videos. They are going to be coming out in a regular basis for a while now. I've got 3 or 4 in the works at least, and then I'm going to be starting to put out some GRIT Galaxy stuff to get that out in the world and people familiar with it, so that when the book comes out, people will know about it. So anyway, thanks for joining in, and until next time, take care, and I will see you soon.